This is Brian Snow. This is the Brian Snow Show. Although a lot of stuff is still under construction, as you can see behind me, but we're back. And I got someone very special to kick off this edition. Let's do it. My thanks to the legendary Cole Johnson for the brand new intro, because this is a new venture. I started this 2 years ago. I thought it would be a 5-day-a-week show. It's not. It's going to be a weekly show. I thought it would be kind of sports related. A small part of it is. But I want to talk to people that have incredible stories, incredible things that they're doing. And the first guest that I made a promise to a year and a half ago, she said, "Look, I got something interesting for you." "Oh, yeah? Let me have it." She did. And when I saw the words awaken relationship, oh, it was on. Because we were there. I can't tell you how many times we were supposed to do this interview, but finally got it together. Finally being the operative word. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome the lovely Harmony Woodington. Hey,
Hello.
Harmony.
Thank you so much for having me today. It is a blessing. And I think everything always happens in perfect timing. So it was meant to be that it's happening right now.
It is definitely that. Tell me about Awakened Body, because I saw that and I immediately clicked to it, especially with everything that has been going on with me health wise. Talk to me about that.
That's really beautiful. It's a company that I started a decade ago now, which is incredible to believe. And it was actually born of me creating my own resolution, coming from a family with a lot of dysfunction. So, my mother, to be very real with you guys,
Go for it.
was raised in a satanic cult. And that goes back 65 generations. And my father was born in southern Wales, which was bombed quite a bit. And there was a lot of damage done in the Second World War. And my grandfather suffered from PTSD and used humor to try to get over it. And all of the 6 children, my father and his siblings, all were raised in this depressive state with a place that was being rebuilt after the war, not being able to talk about their feelings, with a father with PTSD and a militant mother. And so they all have serious mental health issues. And my father is depressed and suicidal. And I've had to deal with him making multiple attempts to end his life. And so between my, split mother with serious mental health issues, she's never going to recover from the severe abuse that she suffered. And my father being where he's at, I grew up with some serious dysfunction myself and came out of that household with a lot of trauma and no self-worth. And I'm one of those people, when you sit in a room with me, within 5 minutes, no less, you're sharing your life story and you don't even know why you did it. And so this is what I've always been meant to do, but I didn't have the self-worth to go and chase after education to make it happen, because I didn't believe that I was worthy of education or support to make it happen. So I didn't apply for a government student loan. I didn't apply to schools. I didn't even make an effort. And I ended up in a little tiny aesthetic school, becoming an esthetician and doing that for almost a decade. And I ended up being in a room with people, giving them facials, having them complain to me about all of their life issues, but I couldn't fix it with a facial. I just couldn't. And so I ended up finally going, okay, like, I know I want to do more, but I need to fix myself first, because I can't help anybody if I haven't walked the path and don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a single mother at the time, and so I was quite afraid of taking the jump. And the universe was like, I got you, girl. I got you. we're going to throw you in a 4-car accident on the way home to your child from work. And then you're just going to have to quit your job because your injuries are going to be so intense that you're just not going to be able to work anymore. And I was like, oh, that's the plan. No, but I have no choice, clearly. So here we go. So I was left with a severe concussion and other injuries and a 13-year-old child to support. And I started basically a little business in my tiny little basement suite, doing eyelash extensions to keep a roof over mine and my child's heads. And I walked the physical healing path, constantly asking myself, how did this happen for me? There was some internal knowing, even without the wisdom that I had at the time, that it was happening for me. And so I just kept asking the question. I lost my friends. I lost my job. I lost my income. I lost everything. And then all of a sudden, one day, one piece at a time, my life rebuilt itself. I found the love of my life. My sister left her husband and came back into my life. And I ended up getting a place to support us and her children. And I ended up gathering new friends. I built a new business. Everything completely changed. And then one day I was sitting there with my cup of tea and I was enjoying my view. And I was like, oh, I just needed a whole life makeover. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
I laugh because in us talking and getting to know each other over the past year and a half, almost 2 years, yeah, I got thrown a knuckleball myself called stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
So, and I had just gotten married. I got married in 2019 to Jody, who is the love of my life, who
Nice.
pulled me back from the cliff that I told myself, I'm walking off this cliff and I ain't coming back. And Jody said, I don't know you, but I need you. Then blood clots in both lungs, pair of toe amputations, 5 organs gone to remove the pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
Me getting used to what my body can and can't do all over again.
Yeah.
So, girl, if anybody understands a wicked life makeover that flips you upside down, then turns you right side up because you got to figure this out on the fly, you're talking to them.
Yeah.
And this pretty lady behind me has been encouraging. She's been real with me. She's told me like it. She's told me everything like it is, and she continues to. And God bless her for that.
That's beautiful.
Because society does not want that.
No.
Society does not want people to be real, which is how you and I connected in the first place. Society does not want people to be themselves and be totally real with what's going on. Jody said, the heck with that. I'm going to keep it the way it is. I'm going to keep it real the way it should be. And I don't want you to do the same. I expect you to do the same. So right away, I get responsibility that I've wanted all of my life with a person that I absolutely adore. And you know this because a marriage to me is a partnership. You split the responsibilities, you and your partner, and then you come together saying, okay, what went wrong here? What went wrong here? What went right for you today? And where do we go? And where do we go from there? So, yeah, I understand life flipping you upside down, then turning you right side up, and then throwing a pile of stuff at you going, here, figure this out. And you're looking going, what? Where do I start? And then the page turns and you're like, oh, that's where I start.
Yeah. I think if you can have it in your thoughts that, this is happening for you for a reason, that there's an opportunity, and you can allow yourself to find a place of peace in the storm, because sometimes it's brief and sometimes it's long enduring and it goes on for quite a long time. Your journey clearly didn't happen overnight. It took a long time to recover from all of that. I mean, the loss of 5 organs and the surgery and getting through cancer and recovering, all of that happens, and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And to be able to find a place of peace while you're going through that, to find a positive mindset going through that, and to come out the other end, always asking yourself, how did this happen for me? So you can focus on the lessons to expand so that you can contribute to others, is how you create somebody that is contributing to this earth.
It's so fulfilling now that I am working on becoming a men's mental wellness coach using the best teacher I know. Experience. I'm using the best teacher I know. And my wife tells me every day, you have a message to send to men, but you got to do it in a positive manner. Because Lord knows I've had my share of fights here in the state of Indiana with folks telling me, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And finally, my 10-year-old self knocked me upside the head and went, just look at him like you always did and go, oh, yeah, watch this. So that's the mode mode I'm operating on now. Harmony Woodington joining me here. You can catch the Brian Snow Show in replay form on all of your favorite podcast networks. But why do people, and I ask this for myself, I ask this for everyone who has gone through hell and somehow come out on the other side, why do people like focus on the negative when they come out on the other side? And I ask this, like I said, partially for myself, because the first year after cancer, I was doing that.
Yeah.
But then I figured out, okay, there's a reason I'm here. I'm not done yet. Why do we not take that attitude from the beginning and we just look at everything that's happened negative for us instead of realizing, and I say it again, I am at fault because I did this. I'm here for a reason.
Yeah.
Why can't we take that from the beginning?
It's such a beautiful thing to look at because we really are set up for failure from the very beginning because we're taught to see emotions as positive and negative.
Right.
And you're allowed to be happy and you're allowed to be joyous and you're allowed to be excited and you're allowed to have all of these positive emotions. But if you have anxiety or you feel sad or you feel scared or you get really angry or anything of the like, you are expected to bury it and shut it down because it's inappropriate. And so having this negative positive association to emotion and not even understanding what it is at its core programs us to shut our emotions down. So when we grow up and we have these experiences and there's negative emotions that come of it, we just deal with the immediate acute pain. And we shut down the emotion and we move on because that's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
And so the trauma, the emotional trauma, and let's use a sport example here because you love your sports, okay? So there's a football player and he's on the field and he's going for the touchdown and somebody tackles him and he breaks his leg. Okay? He's laying there and he's in shock and he's staring at the sky and it's game over. He knows it. But he gets up on the one leg and the guys carry him. He hobbles off because he is not going to have that stretcher carry him off. Pride. It's not happening. And everybody's cheering for him and they're hoping it's a twisted ankle. But there's a bone sticking out. He's not coming back. Right? He goes to the hospital. They do surgery. They fix his leg. They tell him he has a chance of playing again, but he's going to have a long road to heal. So he's in the hospital room. He's post-surgery. He's recovering. At no point does somebody come into the room and go, how do you feel? What did you feel in that moment? Let's process your emotional trauma because the physical trauma is now healing.
Yes.
The emotional trauma that never gets honored. So we're left with that emotional trauma.
And both of us have had to do that.
Go ahead.
Both of us had to do that. I never thought of it that way. I can honestly say I never thought of it that way. I can tell you the first person that asked me how I felt was Jody, my wife. And unbeknownst to me, and I'm about to cry because it's something incredible that I'm just realizing, she has helped me process what the hell happened. I didn't realize until you said that. until you said no one comes in to ask you, how do you feel emotionally about what happened? How do you feel mentally about what happened? I didn't realize that not just her, but my family, my friends, my children were helping me process that. But you also said a word that I am also guilty of: pride.
Yeah.
Pride, especially, and I've talked about this with Jody and many other women, especially with men. Men act on pride because they are trained to
Yeah.
act on pride. They're not trained to have any emotion. They're not supposed to have any emotion. They're just put your big boy pants on, get well in 6 weeks from a major surgery that took 5 of your organs, and move on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it so incredibly tragic. And we're not, the other puzzle piece to this is that we're not taught that emotion is self-communication. Way of
Oh.
communicating is emotion. The body's way of communicating is pain.
Mhm.
So if we understand that our mind is trying to tell us something when it is creating emotion, and we stop and say, "Oh, you're talking to me. Thank you. I'm listening." And you engage and you learn how to engage and create a dialogue and resolve what needs to be released, you don't have to revisit things again. I know that the masses do not know this. And I'm going to tell you guys, the powers that be don't want you to know this because they want you to be consuming from the pharmaceutical companies.
Say
Anxiety.
that again louder, because Jody and I have said this for 7 doggone years.
Yeah.
They want to keep you sick.
Yes.
Why? So you can
So,
buy a bunch of these.
yep. Yep, exactly. When you look at mental health challenges like anxiety and depression,
Mm-hmm.
that is actually, and PTSD, that is actually the mind's way of paralyzing you to get you to pay attention to something. I need you guys to hear this. Anxiety and depression are actually your mind helping you and making you stop, because there is trauma, there is pain, there are things that you need to pay attention to. The allopathic world tells you that these things are mental health challenges and chemical imbalances that need to be corrected with medication. This is not the truth. The truth is your mind is telling you, I need you to focus on this. Stop doing your daily life. So the depression slows you down so you don't want to get out of bed. The anxiety paralyzes you with fear. It is a paralysis with purpose. And it is there to get you to pay attention. And when you engage with it and you listen and you learn how to create a dialogue to source what it is that is coming up, and you thank your beautiful mind for stopping you, and you reconcile what has come up, you will never have to visit that again. Do you understand what I'm saying? No
I
more
do.
drugs. You never have to revisit that pain again. The paralysis will never happen again for the same reason. I'm not going to tell you you're not going to have emotion again, because that is the human life.
It
And pain
is.
is our greatest teacher. So stop running away from the pain, because that is your greatest teacher. Okay? But this is the most incredible, important win that I think people need to get from this, is that emotion is self-communication. And when you learn how to work with somebody that teaches you how to engage mindfully and create that beautiful dialogue, that harmonious relationship with your mind, it changes your whole life.
I love that. I love that, because my biggest thing that happened to me was losing my dad in 2007,
Okay.
because dad was my hero. He was my harshest critic, but he was my hero. Was he a disciplinarian? Oh, hell yeah. Born and raised on the south side of Chicago. All right. I can understand that, being the south sider myself. But we had a falling out in 1999. 2 years later, I walk back in the house, and the first thing he does is give me a great big hug, saying, "You made mistakes, but you're my son." That that crystallized everything for me, because I had my hero back in my life. I wandered around for 2 years wondering what dad was doing, what mom was doing. Then 2 years later, I finally went home and dad was there. He and I had a nice long talk about everything. And he said, I'm here for you no matter what. All you had to do was ask. There again, foolish pride getting in the way.
Yeah.
Foolish pride foolish pride getting in the way. Oh man, I this is one of the reasons why I've been waiting to do this conversation with you on my show, because well, we've been needing and wanting to connect for almost 2 years. I had so much stuff going on with me, it's not even funny. But I want the folks that tune in to hear this also, to hear the 21st century way of healing. Are we going to have emotions? Absolutely. I mean, I still have days where I cry because I miss my dad. And I especially have days because I miss my daughter, Donna, who died at the age of 2. So I'm in the middle. I lost dad in 2007 and I lost Donna in 2015. And there have been so many days and still today where they crash and I feel both of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to deal with it until now, until lately. And what was that? What was one of those points for you where you figured out how to deal with your accident, how to deal with, as you perfectly stated, the mental and the emotional aspect of it, because those are the last things to process. The first thing the mind wants you to process, and you said it very well, is the physical aspect, because that's the main thing. Your body's going through it. But what turned the spigot for you when you had the when what turned it for you mentally and emotionally? That's the phrasing I wanted. I couldn't think of it, but what turned it for you emotionally and mentally for you?
So in 2015, February 6th, to be exact, my father had actually been on the receiving end of, unfortunately, a scam that was going around Canada where scammers were calling people and telling them that the police were on their way to their door because they hadn't paid their taxes and they were going to be arrested. And
Oh, I remember that because it hit here in the States. Oh
so
man.
my father, being really depressed, he hadn't done his taxes since 2008 and it was
Mhm.
2015. So he was terrified this was real.
Right,
And
right.
so he actually tried to kill himself. He tried to end his life. And
Mm.
he ended up in the hospital. And I got a phone call saying that my dad had attempted to end his life. And my partner got a phone call at the same time that his father had liver cancer and had surgery and was in the hospital in Toronto. Now I'm in Vancouver. And we both were holding our phones, looking at each other and going, how is this even happening right now?
Right.
And so I went to the hospital and ratted my dad out and had him looked after and put in a facility where he could be watched 24/7 until I knew that he was safe. And I burned a lot of money doing that. But I mean, he's still with us today and he just survived colon cancer. So he's still
Mhm.
going, which is a blessing. And I
Yeah.
flew to Toronto, where we then looked after Scott's father, my partner's father. And
Yes.
my dad had said something when I was in the facility with him before I left that ripped me out of the faith that I had been raised in, and I could no longer be in that anymore. And
Right.
my whole reality sitting in Toronto hospital was being ripped apart because the religion that I was raised in, who I was and who I was going to be for eternity was dictated to me. So I all of a sudden had no sense of self. And
Yes.
that was when I was completely lost. And I found myself talking to somebody at one of those 1-800 numbers through my man's union, pacing the halls in the hospital for 3 hours. And he just let me vent. But then he sent me to a psychologist when I got back to Vancouver. And I realized really quickly they couldn't honor the spiritual breakdown that I was experiencing. They weren't educated to honor that existential crisis, the identity crisis that I was having. So I had to look outside of the allopathic field to actually find answers. And I ended up tripping on hypnotherapy. And I found somebody that taught me the power of my mind and taught me how to completely reframe my reality and reconcile the programming that had been handed to me of who I was going to be. And so I was able to completely redefine myself.
Mm-hmm.
I then also became aware of trapped energy, trapped trauma in the body, and wanted to do something about that. And so certified in multiple energy healing modalities.
Mm-hmm.
So that became the foundation of my own healing, my personal healing. And then I ended up getting to a place where I realized that I had to go all over the place to find the answers that I was seeking. And I wanted to be able to put all of that under one roof and then provide an unconditionally loving cheerleader, a guide that would walk people through this path that I walked through, going all over the place, not having a guide.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what birthed Awakened Body. It is a culmination of a bunch of different things. And then it provides an unconditionally loving cheerleader that walks you through a path that I have now walked hundreds of people through over more than a decade, and created a ton of intellectual property at the hands of my clients, bringing me challenges that I innovated and gave them resolution for. So
wow,
really it was, you know, a lot of challenges, and it was my whole reality being dismantled that put me on that path.
I think we'll close with this, but I gotta have you back for a part 2 to this. I got to have you back.
Sure.
It's I gotta close it because of schedule reasons and wanting to keep in line with everything that I've set up for the show, but I gotta have you back on for another episode. I absolutely have to have you back. I'll leave you with this. I didn't start the beliefs that I carried for years. You know who blew them up and I didn't know? Pretty Bride. Because she introduced me to some things I thought I would never touch, like alternative living spaces, like getting in an RV and working remotely and getting the hell up out of here. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that she introduced me to. And all of my beliefs, the plunger has been pushed and has blown up. And now I breathe it all in. Breathe it all in. It takes that one person or that one moment or that one time where you finally have, as you said so well, everything dismantled. And then you go through the process. And believe me, folks, take it from somebody who wanted to run at 100 miles an hour after my second toe amputation, and I couldn't. It's a process. I had to tell myself that so many times over. It is a process to do this. And that, I think that's the good place for us to close and do it and do this next time. Harmony Woodington joining me here. This is the first of many where I have her on because it's one of the areas I wanted to touch and help heal men. And now I'm getting so much insight from you, and I appreciate you being here. And I know you said yes, but I want to hear it again. I'd love to have you back for another one.
I'm happy to come back and chat with you some more, for sure.
Harmony Woodington, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Brian Snow Show. We will see you next time. So long, everybody. The preceding is a presentation of Snowman Multimedia celebrating 30 years of broadcast excellence.